Hi, my name is Tom. I have a little project here that I'm going to share with you today. I'll be using a Easy Touch HMI, and I will be communicating with several Delta Electronics temperature controllers over Modbus RTU. I'd like to show you one of the projects that I've done, and here is the main page. We'll go to the temperature screen. And here's where I turn on and off. I'm going to go to a screen, and I'm going to run the screen. And here's the temperature control. And as you can see, I have a lot of different controllers here. I have up to 31 zones. And here I'm going to set the actual temperature. But that's actually the sensor. So I'm going to exit that. And here's the temperature. As you can see, I can take it, I can increase it, I can decrease it, or I can just type it in. And if I want to update the value, I press that. So I'm going to exit. And I'm going to add a set point. And I'm going to turn the zone on. I'm going to, in simulation, I'm going to click right here. And since I'm at 250 and the set point is 255, I'm going to turn the heat on. Right now I'm set for cool. I'm going to set the heat on, and you can see that the tag actually, the trigger text actually appeared. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to go back to my main screen here, and you can see I have a manual screen, auto tune, setting up the controller itself. I can read either K-type or J-type thermocouples. I can read Celsius or Fahrenheit. These right here, these sensor limits, high and low, will read either the RTD or the thermocouple, what the actual range of it is, and you will see that change when you change from J-type to K-type, when it's not in simulate mode like it is now, when you're actually connected to a temperature controller. And same thing with Fahrenheit and Celsius. And down here at output 1, I like to use all these for heat. And output 2 I like to use for cool. You can set that for heat, cool, or alarm. And there's also a proportional setting for output 1. But output 2 only has heat, cool, and alarm. So I'm going to go back to the navigation page. And also same thing with the PID setup. I can set up the proportional, integral, and derivative. I can also set the sample time for output 1 and output 2. And down here, this go to screen button here isn't labeled yet, but you can see I have zone 1 and zone 2 here. So let me go to zone 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the temperature here to read 125 degrees. Oh, sorry, auto tune. That's 125 degrees. Update the value, and now I'm at 125. I'm going to change my set point to, let's make it 90. Click enter, Now let's go back to the main navigation screen. Click on that Go To button. As you can see here, my temperature starts coming down here when I've changed the temperature. It should be at 125 degrees. And if I come here a little bit further, you can see the trend graph moving. My set point is down here where I set it at. I believe it was 90 degrees. I can stop my trend graph. I can continue going, or I can even clear it. So let me go back here to my setup sheet, and I will show you how I set this up. First of all, I have my material list, and when putting my material list I use the hyperlinks so I can go directly to the website in case if I have to update the firmware or look for software or production manuals. And I have a brief project description here, and I have the wiring schematic for the 15-pin D-sub connector. I have setting up the HMI, the driver itself, and I also have setting up the COM port for the HMI. Here's a screenshot of the software and setting up the driver and the COM port settings. And here's a parameter list. It's pretty much right out of the 12-page manual for the temperature controllers made by Delta Electronics. And they give you the value of the address in a hexadecimal value. I had converted it over from hexadecimal to decimal for you. And the process value here is the actual temperature being read from the temperature controller, and you also have the set point. I'm going to scroll through these pretty quick to keep this video as short as possible. I'm going to stop along the way on a couple of these though. As you can see, the temperature controller itself supports up to 18 different temperature sensing devices. And you can stop this video at any time and pause it to get a better look at some of these parameters. One of the one of the parameters I want to stop at is right here. This is one that I'll be using. It's 404143. It's the LED status on the temperature controllers. What I like to do is I like to monitor the output 2 and output 1, and also the auto tune bits. Those are bit of words. So output 2 would be bit of word 3, output 1 would be bit of word 4, and the auto tune would be bit of word 6. Here you can also set up the output 1, whether it's heating, cooling, alarming, or proportional. Output 2, heating, cooling, and alarming. You can also set up the communications through here. I've done it through a PLC, to where the temperature control module comes in as default as 9600, and the parity is even, and the protocol is ASCII. Now for my applications, I like to use Modbus RTU and a 1900 as the baud rate, and even parity. So that's kind of tricky. I've done that with Automation Direct before, and the touchscreen. It worked out pretty well. Worked out pretty well when you're changing a temperature controller. When you have to change it, instead of going to taking the software for the temperature controller and hooking up and making your changes, you can do it directly through the touchscreen in the PLC. Here's the auto tune bit right here. that we'll be setting on to do the auto tune. And here I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you how to set up the driver. I'm going to call this temp 5. Hit enter, and I'm going to leave this alone right here. I'm going to come down here to the size of the panel family. It's going to be 8-inch. And I'm going to come down here to PLC manufacturer, and I'm going to come up here to Modicon/Snyder. As you can see, it changed to the protocol, changed to Modbus RTU. There's a couple of different ones here, but we'll be using Modbus RTU today. And here I'm going to set up the communications COM port settings. I'm going to go to 19.2. I'm going to go to on no parity. The wiring is going to be RS485. Then I'm going to come over here to registers per message. I'm going to change that to 1. Same thing with coils per message to 1. This temperature controller will be able to read or write 8 registers per message, but I set it to 1. I'll leave this alone down here, and we should be good to go. I'll click OK. As you can see, the screen opens up. Now I have another screen open up here to where I've already taken out the touch cells and converted the screen to black and added my my name up on top, the name of the screen and the project. Now first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to add a numeric display. Now I have to give it a tag name first, so I'm going to call this zone 1 temperature. And I'm going to take the display frame off, but first I've got to give it an address, and that's going to be 404.097. Click OK. And from there, I'm going to take the display frame off. I'm going to give it a background color of yellow. Digits I'm going to leave as 5. I'm going to give it a fractional digit because the temperature controller as default gives you the temperature within the with 1/10 of a degree, with a resolution of 1/10 of a degree. The size I'm going to take and make that 8x32. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click on the field, and I am going to expand it. And if I want to move it up or down like a fine tune, I can push my up arrow or down arrow. And I'm also going to give this zone a name, and I'm going to call it zone 1. I'm not going to display the frame with this, but I am going to change the background color and the text color. I'm going to click and change the text size. I'm going to make it an 8x32. Click OK. And I'm going to expand this out to the same size as my temperature here. And I'm going to move my temperature down a little bit. I expand it out to the same size because then it centers the text. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to be able to write a numeric value. So I'm going to come up here to Objects. I'm going to go to Data Entry, and I'm going to type it and hit Numeric Entry. And in this field right here, I'm going to put in Zone 1 set point. And I'm going to leave the frame with that. But one thing I'm going to do is a range check. But first I have to add an address. That's going to be 404.098. Click OK. And I'm going to do the range check because I don't want to put too high of a value into the temperature controller, because otherwise if it's too high and it's over its limit, it will not recognize the value. If it does not recognize the value, it will go into fault. So I'll just type in 1500 degrees. So that's going to be 15,000 because of the fractional digit that I'm going to use. And I'm going to make that an 8 by 32 also. And the background color, I'm going to make it, how about blue? Click OK. And then I'm going to put it right here, right below my set point. And I'm going to move that up just a hair. Now, next thing I'm going to want is a push button to turn the zone on and off. But first I got to give it a name. So that's going to be zone 1. On. Off. I'm going to leave the frame on there. I'm going to leave it as a toggle. And I'm going to change the character size after I add an address, which is going to be 404.201 slash, which is bit of word 6. Oh, sorry, 0. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to change the text size to 32 for on. Same thing for off. I'm going to change the background colors. Green for on, red for off. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to add that to my field. Now what I'm going to do here, as I did in this one here, I'm going to add in the heat and cool trigger text so that I know when the outputs are on or off. So what I need to do is come back up here to Objects and come down here to Text and go to Triggered. Then I come down here and I will type in Zone 1 for the tag name. And I know that that's address 404.143 slash, which is bit of word 3, which is the heat. Then I'm going to make the background color for it on as red. I'm going to keep the text black. And I'm going to change the on text to heat. And I'm going to take the off text out, which it really doesn't matter because my next move after I change the text size to 8 by 16 is to come up here to visibility and details. When visibility tag, I'm going to check that. I'm going to give it a tag name. I'm going to hit the scroll down and select heat 1 zone, or zone 1 heat. So in other words, when this is on, that heat tag is going to be on down here. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to expand it out. I'm going to keep the frame, make it look a little neater. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. It's going to go right over it. I'm going to move it over a little bit and up so it's directly over the center. And I'm going to click on it and I'm going to change the tag name from heat to cool. And I'm going to change the background color after I give it a different address string, which is going to be 404.143 slash, which is bit of word 2. Hit OK. Now I'm going to change the background color to blue. And I'm going to come up here to the on text and change that to cool. And then I'm going to come over here to the visibility. And I'm going to highlight zone 1 cool and click OK. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to right click cool and I'm going to send it to the back, which will bring the heat tag up first. Now I'm going to do a simulation and check out, make sure everything works. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to give zone 1 a temperature of, we'll say, 100 degrees. Update the value, 100.0 degrees. I'm going to give it a set point of 125 degrees. .25 enter. Now what I'm going to do is, if you remember right down here, I had my trigger text so that when my heat or cool is on, it'll turn on. So as you can see, I'm a little bit cool on the temperature, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit exit for cool, and I'm going to go directly to heat. I'm going to set it on. As you can see, the heat turned on. I'm going to reset it. I'm going to exit that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set cool on. Reset. Exit. And I'm going to close the simulator. Now for zone 2, it's a little bit trickier. We can copy, paste all this, and it's going to paste it directly on top. And what we're going to do is we're going to move it up 1 with the keypad. Then we're going to just slide it on over, so it's all at the same height. And I'm going to change the zone name to zone 2 and click OK. Then I got to come down here for the temperature, and I'm going to, under tag name, I'm going to highlight the 1 for zone 1 and change that to a 2. Now I'm going to have to change the address string again. Now here's how I get to zone 2. Type in 2-404097, and that will get me, I'm going to leave it unsigned integer. I'm going to click OK, and that gets me to zone 2. I'll do the same for the rest of these, but I'll show you a little bit different with the trigger text. That's zone 2. 2-404098 for the set point for zone 2. And click OK. So instead of typing in zone 1 there, I actually typed in zone on off. So we'll make that zone 2 on off. So I need to type in 2-404201/0, just as I did in zone 1, except for I added a 2 dash in front of the 404. Click OK. And then I come here to heat. I do the same thing. 2. That's going to be 2-404143/3. Okay. Now I need to come up here to the visibility detail tab and do the same here. Or I can hit this drop down button and just highlight zone 2 heat, click on it, and hit OK. And heat is done. I'll do the same thing for cool. I'll send heat to the back. I'll open up cool. Make that zone 2 cool. And that's going to be 2-404143/2. OK. Now I need to do the visibility details up here for zone 2. I can use the drop down box again. Hit OK. And we're done. And that's what you do with the rest of the zones. I'd like to keep these all uniform, so I'm going to send this to the back. And that's pretty much it for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, I'm going to add a new screen. But first I'm going to add a screen change button. And that's going to be good. Click OK. I'll put a screen change button right here. And I'm going to copy that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to screen. I'm going to add a new screen. I'm going to add screen 2. And I'm going to put trend. I'll show you how to put a trending screen in. And I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to change the color of the screen to black. And then I'm going to come back up here, copy my page here, my main here, and I'm done there. So now what I need to do is come up here to Objects, and come here to Graphs, and then Line Graph. And first what I want to do is go to Pen, and I want to pick what I want the first graph to be. First graph naturally I want to be is the set point, and I need to pick a color for the pen. So let's make it purple, and let's pick a line. Let's make it a nice even line. And then for pen number 2 I'm going to use zone 1 temperature, and I'm going to use a red pen for that. And I'm also going to change the line. Then for the legend, I'm going to put zone 1. That might be a little bit long, but we'll give it a try. And I'm going to click OK. Well, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the X and Y axis. And I'm going to change my range because, well, let me show you this first. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to put my trend graph in here. Extend this out all the way. Make it a little bit bigger, so it's a little more legible, and you can read it. If you can see, my resolution of my graph is from 0 to some very high number. I really don't want that. What I want to do is I want to change this value here and make it something a little bit shorter. Since my temperature range is going to say, well, for this project we'll use 200. So let's use 2000. And click OK. And what that will do is that will actually be 200 because of the decimal point. And let's give the y-axis a different name. We'll give it temperature. We'll just call it temp because temperature, I believe it cuts out the E. And we'll give this 1 time. The x-axis is going to be time, and the y-axis is going to be temperature. And we'll keep the ticks. We don't need a visibility. And we'll do a simulation here, but after I come here to this screen and change this to screen 2, click OK. Now let's do the simulation. Click OK. Now what I want to do is change the temperature, and we'll put in like maybe 25 degrees. Update the value and exit it. And let's do a set point of 150 degrees. Turn the zone on, and since we're a little bit cool here, we'll turn the heat on. Exit. Now we'll go to screen 2. And it don't seem to be moving. Now, you know what we did wrong there is I didn't change the time of it. It's set at 60 seconds instead of, we'll say, 1 second. Here's the sample rate time. As you can see, it's 60 seconds. So let's just make it 1 second. Now we'll click OK, and we'll do the simulation again. Now we have to go back and do it again. Update the value, exit it, and we'll go at 150 degrees. We'll turn the zone on, and we'll do the heat. Go to screen 2. As you can see here, you can't really see the what you can see here is right here is the actual temperature, I believe. And we go a little bit further, and you can see right here the set point coming up here to 150. You can see the actual temperature at 125, and the set point coming up here to 150. So, as you can see, and then we can go back to the screen here, and we can put in 135. Oop. Go to this screen, and we can see here we shot up to over 1100 degrees and came back down to 135. So that's how you program the HMI. You can program in the temperatures. You can program in the set point. I also showed you how to program in the trend. The trend is pretty good. You just got to watch out how many trend graphs you put in and the actual sample rate time, because I've been able to trend for several hours, a couple of zones at a time. But if you've got all the zones running, your time will be limited. They do make memory cards. You can put a memory card in, and it'll work a lot, give you a lot more time. But basically, that's about it for this project. I can expand a little bit more on it if you like. If you like the video, let me know, and I'll expand a little bit more if you want. There's also another video where I go in and make the settings on the temperature controller, where I show you how to set the baud rate and everything, and the communications on it, and also go in and you can actually view the temperature on the temperature controller. There's a screen in there to where you can view the temperature. You can make changes to the PID loop on there, and I'll go all through that with you. And that's about it. I hope to see you soon.